right, so remember we were talking about hardware and software interaction and the two different kinds of software. What were those kinds of software? Do you remember? Applications, yeah.
System.
And systems. An operating system falls in which of those categories? Is it application software or system software?
System.
It is system software, right? Because it's absolutely necessary for the computer to work. Okay. What's that? I'm gonna go over the purposes in a minute. All right. So remember, the operating system, it enables hardware to communicate with application software. So it's basically the interface between you and the hardware. All right? It's also the interface between the hardware and the applications. All right? Now, there's 4 main purposes of the operating system. And I suggest you guys have your books out. Okay? The first purpose of the operating system is that what I just said. It enables the computer hardware to communicate and operate with the application software. And it does that in a few different ways. So it recognizes input from the keyboard. So letter A on your outline, I would write recognizes input from a keyboard. It also is able to send output to a monitor. For B. It recognizes input from a keyboard. So remember, we're talking about how it communicates, the hardware and the software, how they communicate. So it recognizes input from a keyboard. It also sends output to a monitor. It keeps track of files and directories. So like this picture over here up on the board, that's like a whole file structure, right? It's a file system. The operating system organizes those files. It keeps track of the attributes. I'm going right in order. The very first section is called Purpose of an Operating System. It's Lesson 8. Okay. So it keeps track of files and the file system. It keeps everything in order. Letter D, I would say that it controls the peripherals that you use by using drivers. Remember, the drivers is the software that comes with the computer. It's in the operating system that allows you to work with your printer and your monitor without having to install an extra CD. All right, so that's all under number 1, enabling a computer hardware to communicate and operate with the application software. Number 2, managing resources for applications. A, each application does not need to have print settings because the operating system handles this. So it's nice that each program you install doesn't have to have its own special like printer settings set up. Your operating system handles all of that. Number 3, the third purpose of an operating system. It performs maintenance tasks, system maintenance tasks. Some of those tasks would be A, preparing your desktop. Prepares your desktop for you. B, it also manages your visual and your audio. It also handles memory. And it maintains your power settings. All right, number 4, the fourth purpose. It performs file maintenance tasks, which is what I kind of just touched on. It manages the amount of space each file can use.
What?
It manages the amount of space a file can use. It manages a file system. So that's what I was saying. It regulates names and other file attributes, folders, subfolders, things like that. So know that a file system is how the operating system stores files on your disk. Yes? There are more than two, but the two main ones that we use are personal computer operating systems, and then there's handheld and embedded operating systems. All right, the personal computer ones we are familiar with. We've talked about Windows and Mac OS X. But the handheld and embedded ones, they are a little bit different. They sit on a ROM chip, and they're just not as robust as a personal computer operating system would be. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you guys to look at the section in the book, page Mod 1, 155 to Mod 1, 156, and write down two important things on each of these operating systems. Quinn.
It's designed to work with Intel processor.
Right, I have that as well. Anyone else? Anyone else? Quinn can't do all of the work here.
Did you record that?
I'm recording that, yes.
Quinn's gonna be happy when it's done.
Donnie, what's one other thing you had written down for Windows?
There it has
They can multitask. And Rosemary, what did you say?
I said Windows XP and Windows 7.
Okay.
You're just specifying examples.
Yeah, no, I just wanted you to get two important pieces of information. So what I have is, whoops. All right, so I have that, yes, it was designed to work with an Intel processor or a clone. But, and I'm showing Windows 8 up there, but Windows XP was the most widely used version of Windows. All right, what about the Mac OS X? What do you have?
first GUI.
The first GUI? Technically, it wasn't the first GUI, remember?
Well, Macintosh created the first GUI.
Right, okay, true. But I'm looking for something that was in the book. On this
That was
particular.
in the book.
It was in the book in this particular paragraph? Oh, maybe I didn't write it down because I figured you all knew that already. True, okay. So Mac had the first public GUI, okay. Graphical user interface, the picture, the screen with the pictures and the colors. It makes it nice and pretty. So you don't have like a command line with just a black screen. So what else? Did anyone write anything down from the Mac? Yeah, Danielle.
Contains a processor that was manufactured by Motorola, which Windows can't work on.
That's true. I have that as well. So old Macs contained a processor manufactured by Motorola. What kind of processor do current Macs use? What's that? Did you say something? What's that? Yeah.
A processor that's a lot like Intel, so it can work with the platforms.
Right. Current Macs use Intel processors similar to Windows. Okay. Unix. Kyle, what do you have from Unix? One piece of information. Unix.
The operating system is commonly used by scientists.
Yeah, I have that. It's used by scientists and programmers. And what does Turcan teach? Science. What else? Quinn?
Well, for Unix, you put Linux,
Yeah, no. So, yeah, you can go into detail about that. I'll show you what I have. It's multitasking. It's a portable operating system that can run on just about any hardware platform. Yeah? This is all Unix, okay? Linux is like a version of Unix. All right? Think of Linux as being a, in a subcategory of Unix. Another reason why people love it is because it's very, very stable. It rarely crashes. Some versions of this operating system still have that command line interface. Some of them don't have that nice GUI that we're used to. Okay? Now, Linux has this GNOME GUI, where it looks like Windows or Mac. You can kind of change it. See how this one looks up on the board? You can kind of change it the way you want it. You're welcome. And then IBM AIX is also a version of Unix as well. So those are all the pieces I found out on Unix. All right, so next section, sharing files on different operating systems. There's 3 different ways that your book discusses. All right, so the problem is, like, let's say some of you guys use Pages on your Mac, and then you come in here, but you need to use Word. It's not going to work, right? Or you use Word on your Mac, and you come in here and want to use Word. Sometimes there's issues. Okay? So some of your options are, there's an emulation card that can be installed on your computer. What's that? Conversion. I mean, it's gotten better over the years. They always try to make them, you're able to convert things easily now. So yeah, you can install an emulation card and put it on the motherboard in your computer in one of those expansion slots. They also, number 2, make software programs that you could buy or download to help convert things. Like I've seen things online that you could convert a PDF into a Word document or something like that. And then there are some files that have no problem going back and forth between multiple different operating systems. Okay? The 2 file types mentioned in the book are, there's the basic text format, which is a .txt file. There's absolutely no formatting in that. It's literally just plain text. But it's kind of nice because you can open it on anything. The other option mentioned is the rich text format. It's the .rtf. And there's very little formatting with RTFs. I mean, you can bold some things and underline some things, but that's about it. Have any of you guys ever saved things as a .text or a .rtf? All right, well, what I want you to do is when you're done typing this, open up Word. Yeah. All right, next topic, user rights. So we all have permissions on our computers, right? System administrators have administrator rights, which means they can pretty much do anything. All right? And those rights are local accounts or they're local security groups. What I want you to do is look up and tell me what kind of things can administrators do with their administrator rights. Yeah?
Change passwords and stuff.
Change passwords, yep. Everybody, somebody look in the book. There's 1, 2, 3, 6 things. Go ahead. All right. Creating accounts. changing account names, pictures, establishing security access, allocating storage space, that's fine, so that nobody hogs up too much space on the network. And they also monitor all the systems, so they've got all of these added rights that they can, do more things. And they're also able to add and delete software. All right, troubleshooting on your operating system. All right, sometimes there's incompatibility issues. So software comes in different versions. You can't buy Office for Windows and install it on your Mac. It's not going to work that way. All right? So you got to make sure your software is compatible. There's also file corruption issues that can happen. And those things happen sometimes if there's a power outage. You've got viruses. Sometimes, sometimes the software that you've downloaded just doesn't work right. It's a bad file. And then sometimes it says your drivers can be outdated. So your operating system may be 2 years old or 3 years old, and you may get a brand new printer that requires new drivers. All right? So you might need to make sure you've got the most recent drivers for things to work. More troubleshooting, disk crashing. That happens just from unstable systems. A lot of times restarting can help avoid your disk crashing. Sometimes when you keep your computer on too long, it uses up all of its resources and your disk will crash. So sometimes you need to restart, but sometimes you might need to just upgrade your whole operating system. Now there are a lot of online resources for those who are interested in working with operating systems. So Microsoft has online tutorials. So if ever you guys have problems with your computer at home, chances are you can't use your computer at home to research things, but you could grab another device and use it to research things. Computer ethics. All right? You all need to know that ethics is a brand of philosophy concerned with evaluating human action and developing a system or code of morals. I hope that you guys know what ethics is by now. You go to a good school. You know the difference between right and wrong, right? So ethics comes into play with computers when we're talking about privacy, talking about copywriting, talking about theft. All right? So just know what ethics is and know how it pertains to technology. Okay? You don't have to type this whole thing out. I'm just letting you know. White hat hackers. These are people that just have a high interest in networking and things like that, so they like to hack into other networks to see how they're set up. They really don't have any interest in destroying anything. They just want to get in there and figure out how it works. Now this Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, they have a set of codes that businesses should be adopting that are ethical standards, basically, but they're just codes. They're not laws. All right? So the IEEE did create a set of codes for ethical standards, but they're not laws. It's just a set of codes that they would want people to adhere to. PC support specialists. All right, these are like the guys down the hall, right? They provide all of the support for under the applications here at school, okay? They help out with all of our hardware. But there's also PC support specialists that are offline, that are not here at school. When we have issues with certain programs, a lot of times we have to make a phone call. We have to call Apple, or we have to call Microsoft, okay? These guys get paid a lot of money. I mean, it's a hard job. Not everybody can handle this. So in order to obtain a job like that, you need to always be in the know on what's current, what's the newest and latest stuff out there. You have to be able to communicate well, which sometimes isn't always the case when we call these tech people online. Sometimes they are hard to communicate with, but preferably good communication skills. You have to know not just one thing. You need to know multiple different operating systems. If you decide to have a career in technology and you have an interview, they don't want you to say, oh, I just know Windows. They want you to know Mac. They want you to know Windows. They want you to know Linux. They want you to know it all. All right? And now they also have a background in testing and maintenance and backups. All right? Now, some people are so good with technology that they blow off their studies for it, right? Because they just want to be in a room coding or doing whatever. So sometimes they don't actually get degrees, but they are able to sometimes land those jobs. But a bachelor's degree is always preferred.